Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello and welcome back to the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. We're at the Marina circuit for the season finale. It's round 21 of season 16 and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. My name is Justin, and joining me for this final race of the season, it is Andy.
It's myself and Justin. We've got the champagne out, ready for the after race party, the end of the season. It's been a long, hard slog all season long, and hopefully we can have some exciting action to finish it all off. It should be a cracker. I'm really looking forward to it, Justin.
Yep, very excited for the final race of the season. It's a lovely circuit as well, too. Not necessarily the best corners on this circuit, but just, you know, the layout, the lights, the fact that the sun goes down, all of that stuff is really fantastic. Really sets it apart from the rest of the calendar, the rest of the circuits. So we do have a hot lap this week, though, and it is actually on board with CRG Evo, our recently crowned Season 16 champion. So let's go ahead and head on board with that hot lap now.
Welcome along to the final AOR Hype Energy Hot Lap for the Season 16 F1 League. We are on board with CRG Evo, the Xbox One Split 1 champion, as he takes us through a lap around the Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi. Fourth gear for turn 1 for a flat out turn 2, and turn 3 approaches a very demanding right-hander, which you can easily misjudge with a Ferrari driver. No fault through there. Through turn 5 and turn 6 now. Cutting the curves to absolute perfection before a sharp hairpin of turn 7. Down to first gear, just get the nose turned in. Now back on the power once again. Down the first of 2 long DRS straights, where overtaking is certainly possible for all the drivers tonight with the use of DRS obviously and slipstream. Once you aboard is your marker for the sharp turn 8, and then the chicane of 9 follows, and then back on the gas once again for the second straight, down towards the chicane of 11, 12 and 13. The 100 meter board is the marker once again as Ferrari brakes nicely and planted through there. 11, 12 and 13 running over the curbs very nicely indeed. To turn 14, don't want too wide an exit because an invalid lap time could await. Now through turn 15, flat out once again. In turn 16, a heavy braking zone for turn 17. The car nicely turned in. Now go underneath the hotel section for turn 18 and 19, go very close to the wall and in towards the final 2 corners as he closes out the lap, and with it his qualifying session around the final corner, and that is a lap around the Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi.
And as I mentioned, that is a lap of the Marina circuit, as brought to you by CRG Evo, our new champion, recently crowned, as I said. Well, not that recently. It's been a few weeks now, hasn't it, Andy?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since he was crowned champion. Of course, it was all that work they did in the opening half of the season that, you know, really gave him a stranglehold on the title. You know, the first 9 races, he won 7 of them, and was on the podium twice in China and in Monaco. But since then, it has been up and down. It's been much more hotly contested at the front, with Evo and Surprise trading blows for the majority of the season. And I think that is going to be the trend going into next season. But there is still a battle going on for 3rd, 4th and 5th in the standings. We do not have the updated standings in front of us, unfortunately.
We don't.
But it should be a cracking finale between the likes of Simon, Leopard and Joe, who I believe are all with us tonight. Yes, they are. So that will be good to watch, won't it?
Yes, it will indeed. And if I remember, again, we don't have the current standings right now, so I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I genuinely do not remember what happened last week, and I'm so sorry for that. But I do know it is tighter than it was before, if I remember correctly. I think things kind of got turned around. And it's actually tighter than it was for that third place in the championship than it was in Brazil, at least at the start of Brazil. So really looking forward to that one. They're going to be, of course, giving it their all. CRG Evo is not going to be letting up either. And, of course, Velace Surprise, who also sealed off second in the championship a few races back. He's also, of course, going to be pushing. We do have a number of Hypersoft runners out on circuit right now, with a few opting for the Supersofts. Only 12 cars for today's race, which is really unfortunate. We never like to see such a small attendance for a race, but certainly that sort of thing has never held us back from a good race in the past. Just kind of going around the field, having a look at where everybody is at and what they're doing. The first runs are coming in now, and it's only 0.02 of a second between OMG It's Joe and CRG Evo. That is unbelievably tight, and gosh, I hope that is signs of things to come for Season 17.
I've just done some quick maths, Justin. I've loaded up the previous race, looked at the results, and then added some figures. OMG It's Joe is third in the standings with 184 points. Leopard is fourth in the standings with 182, so 2 points between them, and Simon is fourth with 174. Fifth, sorry, with 174. So there you go, 174, 184, 10 points between those three drivers, so it could swing either way. Quite a real fight going on there for third place in the final place at prize giving, which Kimi Räikkönen seemed to enjoy last season, didn't he?
Completely forgot about Kimmy's enjoyment of the prize. Thank you so much for just reminding me that that actually happened and wasn't a fever dream or something like that. While we were talking about that, Simon did actually go quickest of all, the first of the drivers to dip into the 132s. 4/10, over 4/10 of a second quicker than Joe and Evo, which is very surprising to see. Simon clearly is on it, although he's never been one that for lacking in one lap pace, so we can't be too surprised about that. Let's see if we can actually find, I mean, Simon's on his way in. Let's go on board with MVP 0. He's only on his out lap right now, but we'll stick with him as the sun begins to set in Abu Dhabi. And as usual, I did get a chance to take a look at the PS4 race before our broadcast started. And it really, there were actually some two-stoppers. It seems that going ultra soft, super soft, while probably the fastest way around the circuit, isn't exactly easy to do.
Well, yeah, it will be interesting to see. It is one of those circuits where the two-stop is possible. There's very, very few tracks like that on the game, but it is one of them. The Hypersoft, the Ultras, and the Super Softs, the tyres available to us. So, you know, that could open things up, Justin, and it could create some excitement throughout the race. Having the three compounds since they brought that into Formula 1 has always been great. I've really enjoyed it since they did that, but due to the durability of the tyres, it hasn't really caused the star as much as we'd maybe like, and potentially the opportunity for that today, and yeah, I think that would be really exciting. So we'll see what comes out on top. Will it be the two-stop, will it be the one-stop, and which strategy is the preferred one? Because of course recently we had a patch as well, so everything was flung up into the air. So yeah, looking forward to see what the way to go is. But with 10 minutes to go in qualifying, it's Simon stealing a march at the moment. Can he come out on top? Well, he's got a good cushion at the moment, that's for sure, and plenty of time left though for times to tumble here in qualifying as the sun begins to set here in Abu Dhabi.
That's right, 10 times already on the board, more so in the rest of the only drivers not to set a time so far. Good to see Jason97F1 has come back to the league for the final race of the season. I'm sure, I don't know what the circumstances were for his absences before, but I'm sure it wasn't just pure laziness or, you know, just wanting a vacation or anything. He was probably busy or something like that, but it's great to see that he is going to be able to make it for this final race. So we do have both Haas drivers for today's race, Jason97F1 and Pinecone, and last I checked, actually, between them, there was a little bit of a battle going on. They were separated by 6 points, but then, of course, I apologize for that. The screen disappeared for a minute. But, of course, I believe Jason was not there last time out, if I remember correctly. So that may be a bigger gap than it was in Brazil. So we'll certainly keep an eye on all of the drivers, of course, as we try to find out where everybody is going to finish in the standings. But the battle for third, as we mentioned, third in the championship standings, is going to be the main battle that everybody is watching, with Joe currently leading the charge and Leopard right behind him, just 2 points behind him, and Simon just a further 8 points adrift of that battle. So Simon really needs to win today's race, I think, is sort of what that's telling me. Because, of course, Joe and Leopard are going to be podium contenders. So if Simon wins and Joe is third, that would give Simon the win, I think. Only because he's got more wins.
No, but Simon's 1-1, I think, and I think Joe's 1-1. So
are they even? Is it one each?
I would have to go down to second place.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And Leopard hasn't won one, so in the case where it went level with that, in that sense, Leopard would drop out. But you know, Leopard. Some stats. I don't know who's got the most second places, but OMG, it's Joe, average position 6.2, Simon average position 5.7. So maybe that will give us a little bit of a clue as to who's came home second more often. I'm actually going to do a quick count here. Joe's been second 3 times this season. Simon's only been second. Simon's been second 4 times. So there you go. Oh. Simon would jump ahead of Joe on the count back of second places in the event, where Simon won and Joe finished third.
Yeah, so if Simon wins and Joe finishes third, Simon wins it. But if Simon wins and Joe finishes second, then Joe would still be ahead of him. And then again, Leopard's only 2 points behind. So Leopard essentially just needs to finish ahead of Joe by 1 position if it's in the podium, or 2 positions if it's outside the podium places. So those are kind of the permutations that we're dealing with for today's race. And yeah, again, any 3 of them really, because Simon absolutely has the potential to win this race. Joe as well absolutely has the potential to win this race. I would never discount either of those drivers. Yeah. Even Leopard, I would say, has a chance at winning this race because he's come so close this season.
And Leopard, particularly as the season's gone on, Justin, I really think has improved rapidly. In the sense that he's, you know, in the back end of the season, Singapore, Russia, back-to-back podiums, and, you know, he's been really at the sharp end, taking on Evo and shaking off a couple of questionable tags that have been put to his name at the start of the season. So, yeah, he's really done superb as Leopard. A DNF in Mexico, which wasn't too great, but in general, it really has been a good season for him. That's just that one race victory that he's been looking for, that his 2 rivals in this battle for third have got. But we can't forget, Leopard has won a couple of races. He won them both last season. He won in Singapore and in the USA, so he's certainly capable of doing it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that battle. That is certainly the main thing going into this. And of course, what will Evo versus Surprise bring? Once again, these guys have been going at it like crazy in the second half of the season. We mentioned a few weeks ago there was only a point between them since the midpoint of the season. I don't know what it is now, but you know, it's going to be a good battle up front between those two. What will happen with Leopard? What will happen in that battle for third place? And you know, what about Jason as well? You mentioned Jason earlier, Justin. He started 17 races this season and he's finished every single one of them. Just Evo has been able to match that, and Evo, of course, has been in the points in every single race. An incredible record. It just shows you need to have an incredible record to beat Evo over the course of the season. 1 DNF and you're on the back foot, aren't you?
Yeah, simple as that. If I remember, I already put the standings away, but if I remember correctly, Evo's lowest race finish was 6th position. And I mean, that's 8 championship points right there. That's essentially a failure by Evo's standards. Certainly, I'd be happy with 8 championship points in the top split of pretty much any AOR league. So, but for Evo, that's bottom of the barrel, which is, as you said, really just goes to show what's kind of necessary in order to beat him over the course of the season. As Leopard and Pinecone make their way into the pits. Oh, but MVP Zero has just made his way out of the pits. Right as they were making their way in, so we don't have to stare at the pit lane. Thank you for that, MVP Zero, as he takes the scenic route through
the wing.
Turns 5 and 6. What's that?
He's been off the road on his outlap, Justin, because he's damaged the wing.
Oh, he has?
I think he's retired. Yeah. He must have came straight out the pits and let up the rear tyres and went for a spin. That's the only reason that we can think of that, because we joined him as he came out the pits. So we must have done it in the pit lane, or you know, it is that unique pit lane exit where it's quite tight. You go underneath the racetrack, so perhaps that's how he's done it. So a sore one for MVP Zero, 7th at the moment, and I don't think he'll stay there on those Hypersoft tyres with that time. But the other thing, Justin, this is the last race of the season. Get into not only a new season, but we're getting into the sort of F1 esports territory. This is kind of the time of the season where F1 teams will be scouting, they'll be looking at the drivers, so an opportunity as well to shine in that sense. So you know, you'd hope that all the drivers are out there and looking to be in good form. But I have to say, you know, still waiting on a big time from Surprise. We're still waiting on a big time from Veloci Alonso, who really I've been surprised by in the appearances he's made this season. He's not really, you know, lit up the timesheets to the extent that we'd expect from Veloci Alonso. So hopefully in this final race and when next season starts, we will start to see the best of him, because we know he's capable of more.
Maybe he spent a little bit too much time in the squad sprint series, and maybe that's lowered his driving standards a little bit. I can only make that joke because we both did commentary for that series, so that's okay. But yeah, I'm on board with Alonso now, actually. And as you mentioned, F1 Esports coming up later this year, of course. And I think you and I can both agree that Evo absolutely needs a seat in the F1 Esports. I struggle to think of a driver that is more deserving of an F1 Esports seat who isn't already in an F1 Esports seat. You know, I'm not saying he's more deserving than every other driver that's already gotten a seat with the F1 Esports teams in the past. I'm absolutely not saying that, but out of the drivers that got overlooked last year in 2018, Evo is probably the most shocking. And I mean, every day I go to bed praying that Ferrari will participate in the F1 Esports, and then I say a little prayer asking for Evo to join that team, because I think, you know, the German Evo driver at the Ferrari Esports team, that would be an absolute match made in heaven. But they didn't partake last year, so we don't know if that's going to happen, but gosh, I hope it does. And if it's not Ferrari, then I hope somebody else picks him up, if nothing else, as a reserve driver. I mean, come on, the guy is absolutely incredible. You know, you could pick him up on your esports team and just use him for setups for your drivers. I know a lot of teams have more than two. Mercedes has 3 drivers for their esports team, for example. There's some other teams that have 3 as well too, that are escaping me at this exact moment in time, but yeah, I really do hope that Evo's F1 Esports career gets kicked off here in 2019, because he really is a talent. If you're looking for consistent sim racing talent, then look no farther than CRG Evo. I did see, I did the F1 Esports, or not the AOR Esports broadcast last Tuesday for the Xbox side. And CRG Evo was involved in that, putting in a fantastic performance there as well too. So he's definitely somebody that I hope is having a lot of eyes cast over in his direction for the future. But we are right into the tail end now of this qualifying session. Checker flag is about to come out. I'm going to go on board with Simon, actually, because again, he was quickest out of everybody at the start of this session. And I have a feeling that he really wants to try and grab that third place position. And there it is, 132.5. It's about 0.3 quicker than Joe's fastest lap so far. But Joe is still on a lap, of course.
Evo's out there as well. Apologies if you came to me at any point in the last 2 minutes, Justin. The takeaway arrived, if in case you were wondering.
I saw you mute. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah. I was telling Justin, I ordered a takeaway about an hour and a half ago, and it's arrived mid qualifying. So if you hear me munching a kebab, don't hate on me. There's nothing I can do. But anyway, here is CRG Evo coming around the final couple of corners. And what can he do? That 32.5 from Simon. He's a long way ahead of the pack. What can Evo do as he comes across the line? He goes second quickest, 2:10 shy of the top time. But OMG's Joe and P1R Brown are going to be the last ones to see the flag. But surprise, Justin is out there on another quick lap, as is Leopard, and he's going under the hotel. Let's see what Leopard can do.
Ooh, Surprise has slowed down, though. I think Surprise is backed out of that. Let's go on board with Leopard as he makes his way through the penultimate corner. Into the final corner now, dropping it down into third gear, finding that apex very nicely back end, trying to step out. It's going to be a 133.0 is what it said on my screen, but it looks like it's not actually an improvement. So it's a 133.393 for LCR Leopard. Not going to do any better than that. Surprise, as I mentioned, he backed out of that lap. Looks like Pinecone has seen the checker flag. P1R Brown and OMG It's Joe are going to be the final ones, as you mentioned, to cross the line. Let's go on board with the Force India. Is he going to be in the 132s? Yes! It's a 132.629, 39 thousandths of a second slower than CRG Simon. And P1R Brown actually moves himself up onto the second row of the grid. That's very surprising, actually, from the Williams driver. But it is Veloci Surprise who is going to be the leading ultra soft runner. The top 5 all setting their times on the hypersofts. Veloce Surprise setting that 133.3 on the ultra soft. So certainly I'm not going to discount him from this race just yet, because I know those hypers are going to fall off quick.
Well, Justin, it certainly looks like a potential two-stop from maybe the hypersoft runners. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I mean, P1R Brown in the top 4, great drive from him. He did pick up a slight toe from OMG's Joe, who was just in front of him at the end of that.
I caught that, actually.
You know, on that lap. So that might explain, or help to explain, why he's done so well. But given that he's 4/10s clear of Pinecone, I don't think it's all that. So I think it's a really good lap there from P1R Brown. But I think the big story is Simon versus Joe. They're the top 2, and they're fighting it out to go to prize giving with P3 in the standings. So yeah, good qualifying session from those two. Nothing to separate them, and we could be in for a cracking race. But the big loser there in that battle for top 3, LCR Leopard, down in 7th place with a really poor lap on those hypersoft tires. Yeah,
without question. Only 7th position, and on the hypersofts, he's actually going to start behind Surprise and with the softer compound tire, and that tire, as I mentioned before, it's gonna go off pretty quickly. So we are to the grid. We're gonna prepare for the formation lap, but first let's hear a word from our sponsors. And we're back. Thanks everybody for putting up with that. And let's just have a quick look at the predicted pit stop strategy. So if they're starting on the ultras, we're expecting them to come into the pits around laps 7 to 10. Super soft runners will be pitting around laps 16 to 18. But as mentioned before, we have a lot of people starting on the hypersofts, which really, I mean, 3-4 laps, something like that, is probably what we're expecting out of those. So absolutely could be a two-stop strategy potentially today for a good amount of our 12 drivers that we have for today's race. Just one Renault, just one Mercedes, both Ferraris, one Force India, both Haas cars, both Alfa Romeos as well too out there. And only one Williams. So unfortunately, it's not the biggest of grids, but again, we've had grids this size in the past in Apex Online Racing F1 League on the Xbox platform, and they've been plenty fascinating. So I am not concerned about whether or not this is going to be a good race. I mean, it should be good just purely because of the battle between Simon and Joe, and maybe Leopard can make his way through the field and up to those guys and challenge for that 3rd place in the championship standings.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Justin. No doubt about it. We have seen great races with 12 cars. I remember the days back on F1 2010 when you could only race with 12 cars online. How we ever coped with that, I'll never know. But yeah, we've had some great races, even with small fields. Just look back to Mexico. We had a fantastic race there. I'm sure you guys all remember that. Great side-by-side action on a number of occasions. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Pinecone may really played a big part in that race with these switchbacks, if you remember. Fantastic stuff. So yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, let's see how long those hypersoft tires last. That could be key to whether we're going to see 1-stop or 2-stop races. You know, I'm not too sure how much to read into the we've seen. I mean, was that made pre-patch? I don't know. I mean, if they're doing 7 laps on the ultras, surely they'll be doing 3 or 4 on hypers. But then that begs the question, Justin, why would you qualify on them in the first place? So I would assume they're going to do a little bit more than that, but we'll find out soon.
Yep, we sure will. Just taking a quick look at the tires that everybody is starting on. You can see that at the top left of your screen. Jason 97 F1 and Morso are also both going starting on the ultra softs, just like Veloce Surprise. And then interestingly, Veloce Alonso and RSR Restev both starting on a brand new set of ultra softs from outside the top 10 as well too. So nobody going for the super softs at the start of this race. Everybody has opted for either the hypers or the ultra softs. And down to the grid we go. There's a much better camera angle. We've got 4 lights, 5 lights, engines revving. We are ready to go in Abu Dhabi, and the lights are out, and away we go. And it looks like a good start for Joe, but a good enough start for Simon. Is he going to be able to stay ahead of the Force India? He does, only narrowly. P1R Brown coming under attack from the Haas around the outside at turn 1, but he does manage to maintain that position. Veloce Surprise, meanwhile, already gaining positions. He's already moving himself up ahead of Pinecone. They're 3 wide coming out of turn 4, but with the inside line, oh, nearly making it 3 wide into turn 5 there. Oh, and there we've got a Haas and Leopard. Leopard is collected along with Pinecone. I didn't see what led up to those 2 cars running off the circuit and losing a bit of carbon fiber, so I'm not going to place a blame on anybody for that one, but unfortunately I think that means Leopard's championship hunt for 3rd position is well and truly done as he drops down to last position with an over 7-second gap to Restev in 10th position. But what a start from Surprise, and he's already straight onto the back of P1R Brown.
Surprise absolutely flying off the line. The big winner so far, though, Veloce Alonso, he's gained 4 places on this opening lap. A Surprise dives up the inside on P1R Brown and makes it up into the top 4 and joins the leading trio. Lovely stuff from Veloce Surprise. Can he go on and win again here in AOR Tier 1? He's absolutely flying. He's really going to take this championship to Evo next season. I'm looking forward to it. Can either of these two take it to Simon and Joe as well? So yeah, should be a cracking race between those guys. Leopard, you're probably right, Justin, probably out of it, but we said that last week, and then Simon got a puncture and Joe didn't have a great race. So yeah, who knows what could happen, but it's not looking good, that's for sure.
MVP Zero going very slowly, got overtaken by Alonso like he was standing still. The McLaren does come into the pits. I wonder what kind of damage he might have on that car potentially, but let's focus on the battle up at the front. Another big winner, by the way, in the opening lap there was Veloce Alonso. He's already up into 6th position, and he started on fresh tires. Again, he started down in 11th position, so he will have fresher tires than every single car ahead of him. So looking rather good, you have to say, for Veloce Alonso. But it is as they started at the tip of the spear, with Simon leading the way. OMG, it's Joe not far behind him, but Evo really starting to hound the Force India. No DRS just yet, as it's only the 2nd lap of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, of course. But yeah, it looks like Joe is doing a good job of keeping up, but Evo's doing a slightly better job. Surprise is hanging around in DRS range, and I have to imagine Surprise's tires are probably going to be quicker by the end of this lap. I imagine it could be that early that the Ultrasofts really start to come into their own, and Surprise becomes basically the quickest car on the circuit, aside from maybe Veloce Alonso. Restev, though, in the other Alfa Romeo, I can't ignore him. I got to give him a shout out too. Both Alfa Romeos making up 4 positions or more on the first lap. What a start from them.
Really good start for the Alphas, no doubt about it. Obviously helped a little bit by the Leopard and Pinecone collision. MVP Zero's been in the pits and fitted a set of the super soft tires, so he is going for a really, really long stint. But up at the front, I think we're about to see some fireworks very soon, Justin. He's about to be active, and Simon just isn't able to break clear. It's not a track in real life that provides on the game, Justin. I think this is a fantastic track for racing. You've got that 1st and 2nd DRS zone, a second bite of the cherry if you can't get the move done, or if you do get the move done, you're under pressure in the 2nd zone. So, you know, I think we could be in for another fantastic race, just as we had last time out in Brazil. But Evo, Joe, they're both hovering right behind Simon, ready to pounce. But Surprise, so far, not quite able to use those Ultrasofts to get him right onto the tail of that trio out front. But as OMG, it's Joe on this occasion going to make the move, Justin.
Let's go on board, actually, with the Force India. He's going to pick up the slipstream. He's probably not going to want to make the overtake into the turn 8-9 chicane, because then, of course, Simon might get the DRS back on him and re-overtake him into turn 11. So Joe does indeed stay behind for now as Restev makes up another position. He's just following Alonso through. He's made it past Jason 97 F1. DRS open for the Force India of OMG. It's Joe. Simon defending that inside line very aggressively, but in the end, Joe not able to pull alongside. Evo as well having to hang back. I believe Surprise got DRS there, but only just. Yeah, he is within 8/10 now of the leading trio. It looked like they might start to break away potentially from Surprise at the start of this lap, but Surprise has done a fantastic job of actually reeling them back in, keeping them within DRS range, and making sure not to lose touch with those hypersoft runners up at the front of the field. End of lap 3 coming up now as the leading cars make their way into the penultimate corner now. Will we see anybody peel off into the pits for a very early stop? We do not from the top 3, as Alonso picks up a 3-second time penalty on only the 3rd lap. That is rather early and unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's got a nice 3-second buffer between himself and Restev, so really the top 6 breaking away from the bottom 6, as LCR Leopard, unsurprisingly, sets the fastest lap. He's been into the pits, I think, as well. No, actually, he hasn't been into the pits, so maybe he doesn't have as much damage as I worried about after that incident with the Haas. Yeah, having a look at him coming out of turn 3, I'm not seeing any damage on that front wing. So Leopard did drop pretty far back, but he didn't have to come into the pits. He didn't have to change his front wing or anything like that. Coming down at the end of the DRS straight now is OMG It's Joe going to be close enough this time to make a move? No, he is not. Again, staying behind for the chicane. But he might be setting up Simon, and it's all about this exit out of the 8-9 chicane. If you can get a good exit, if you're leading the race like Simon, you can get a good exit out of 8 and 9, you become nearly impossible to overtake at the circuit.
Absolutely, and I have to also notice Simon picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to be good for him. That's really is a kick in the teeth. But Veloci Surprise is now right on the tail of that group, and there's no doubt about it. I think the Ultrasofts now are slowly going to start to come into it. Better, and Evo makes an error, and now Surprise is right there. Goodness me, an uncharacteristic error from Evo. How rarely do we see that? Just seemed to lock the right front up, run a little bit wide, and Surprise was nearly in the front door, Justin, wasn't he?
That was incredible. As you said, Evo making a mistake, that's not normal. We kind of scream about it every time it happens, like, oh my god, Evo with a mistake, Evo with a penalty. Anytime anything like that happens with Evo, it is very surprising. But Surprise wasn't able to make anything happen there. He might be feeling good, though, after seeing something like that, and after seeing that Simon has a penalty. I don't know if Surprise knows that Simon has the penalty just yet, but he's got to be feeling good. Let's just remind ourselves of the tires that everybody is on. The next Ultrasoft runner is Veloce Alonso, and he is out of DRS range, actually. Is he going to pick up the DRS here? I don't think he is. No, he is, in fact, going to lose out on the DRS. Now, he can get that back probably within the next lap or so as those hypers really start to fall off, but Veloce Alonso is going to be kicking himself because, I mean, he's lost some valuable time there off of the top 5 cars. P1R Brown, though, still sticking with it and staying with these guys. Monaco race winner P1R Brown hanging into the top 5, hanging onto the back of that Mercedes. And is Joe going to be close enough this time? No, he is not. And I wonder if Joe is just content to sit behind for right now and just keep that Ferrari behind as well.
And more so if he knows that Simon has a penalty. I know often the race engineers tell them, so potentially he might know that as well. And yeah, just save some fuel, save some ERS, pick up the DRS, and you know, it might maybe benefit him later on in the race just to sit there. So yep. No surprise to see Joe do that. We know Evo likes to do that quite a lot and pounce later on in the race, but are we going to see pit stops on this occasion? Doesn't look like it.
Wow.
And as I assumed earlier on, Justin, with the tyre graphic you've seen earlier, perhaps the patch not accounting for the better tyre life. And there you go, the Hypersofts hanging on for what is now 6 laps. And I'm actually reading that someone said that Danny in the PC race took them 8 laps. So that just goes to show that it's almost like a step up in compound, isn't it? With this patch. So yeah, certainly having an impact on the race. And could that mean a one stop across the board? We'll have to wait and see. Or will it be hypers, then ultras, then hypers again for those front guys? We'll wait and see. Or will they not want to touch the super softs? I don't know what kind of race tyre the super softs are, but we'll find out pretty soon what everyone's going to do. As Surprise looks really close behind Evo.
Yeah, just a couple of car lengths between the Ferrari and the Mercedes as they get down into the braking zone for turn 8. Is he going to look to the inside? No, he's not. He's going to stay behind for now. Evo not quite finding his apex there, though. He's going to want a good exit out of 9 here. DRS open for the Mercedes as they cross the line now, and Evo did not get that exit that he needed. Slipstream now for the Mercedes. He's looking to go to the inside line. Evo is covering that off very well. Around the outside goes Surprise. He doesn't quite have the tires that he needs in order to make that kind of overtake on CRG Evo. And that's actually built a bit of a gap now between Evo and Joe. So this is actually playing really well into the hands of OMG It's Joe. If the race were to finish like this, he would easily become the third place man in the championship for season 16, which would be some small consolation for OMG It's Joe. We know from previous interviews that he's never really been thinking about the championship, but if there was a time to think about the championship, I think this is that race. This is the time, because he really wasn't involved in the championship battle from the outset. Really, I would say Hungary, when he picked up that win that nobody saw, was really when we started to see Joe's championship come together. But I think today here, he probably knows that he just needs to finish ahead of Simon and Leopard, and he's got third place in the championship. And I think I said this exact. Oh, and Alonso picks up another penalty. I don't think he cares at this point, though. He's within DRS range and probably just looking for a scrap at this point. But yeah, Alonso now sitting on 6 seconds worth of penalties, but staying on board with Surprise. Again, he's very close to the back of Evo. Evo really seems to be the one that's struggling the most out of the top 5, except P1R Brown's actually dropped out, and up the inside goes Surprise into the 8-9 chicane, and rightfully takes that position. He moves pretty far to the right-hand side of the circuit. I'm not sure if that was an oversteer moment or something else, but he has cruised on by CRG Evo and taken that podium position up into third. Do keep in mind, to our spectators, to our viewers, that CRG Simon has already picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. So as it stands right now, he would actually finish down in 5th because of Alonso's penalties. So Simon from 1st to 5th because of a single 3-second penalty.
It's tight at the front. It really is, isn't it, Justin? It's a ruthless business, the AOR top split. One mistake and you are punished for it. But there is a long way to go. You know, there's top 6 drivers all on the line. Two of the 6 already having penalties, and there's a chance that could continue to mount on other drivers, as Simon looks to be the first man to call into the pit. So here comes the Red Bull driver. He releases the other 5. Now we're going to see what kind of pace they've got, but surely Surprise is going to be all over the back of Joe and threatening to make a move on this lap, because those ultra soft tyres are by far the quicker choice now.
Yep, without question, that definitely seems to be a statement of fact. Just having a quick look at the battle a little bit further back in the midfield, what was a 4-way battle between Restev, Jason, and Morso, and also Leopard, but Leopard also pitting at the end of lap 7 as MVP Zero picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. Not a great finish to MVP Zero's season. I really do hope that he focuses on the positives, though, from Season 16 and comes back in Season 17 even stronger, because, again, we've seen those flashes of brilliance from MVP Zero. We know he's got good pace. We know he can be up there, up at the front. Jason 97 F1 getting very close to the back of Restev, but not making the overtake on this particular occasion. Let's have a quick look down at the top 3 as they're making their way down to the end of the DRS zone. And there goes Evo, actually up the inside on OMG It's Joe. Very late braking, but Joe stays around the outside, keeps calm, keeps collected, and keeps that second place position as well, too. Valache Alonso just about within the DRS range of that leading trio. P1R Brown just outside the DRS range of Valache Alonso. He's going to be pushing like hell through sectors 1 and 3, or 3 and 1, I should say, in that order, in order to close that gap down and pick up the DRS. Will we see even more cars peeling off into the pits here at the end of lap 8? I have a feeling. Oh, a surprise! Picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's not as clean as Evo, but that's still very surprising to see Valache Surprise pick up a time penalty in this race. Joe pits, Evo pits, and P1R Brown pits as well, too. I think that's the right call from Brown, actually, as he was starting to kind of drop off the rest of that pack. So now Surprise leads the race as Alonso does an Alonso and goes off the circuit at the exit of Turn 3, entrance of Turn 4. Thankfully, Valache Alonso won't hurt his back as a result of going off the circuit there, as Pinecone sets the fastest lap of the race on relatively fresh, ultra-soft tires. Clearly, he's going for a 2-stop strategy, and everybody that has come into the pits, except for Pinecone, has fitted the super soft. So it does look. I was saying at the beginning, maybe it's going to be a 2-stop. You know, it seemed like those hypers weren't going to last very long, but you know, the driver's proving me wrong, making me look absolutely foolish, because, yeah, it's looking more and more like an easy 1-stop now.
It sure is, Justin, as Jason now lines up Restev going down towards that triple chicane. Is he going to make the move, Jason? He's right behind him, and Jason thinks the wiser and decides against it. And not surprising, though, Jason is not one to get the elbows out earlier in the race. He's a consistent driver, as I mentioned earlier. He's finished every race he's competed in this season, and he only waits for when the move is there. Would you say, Justin, he's of the same mould as Evo? I mean, that's some compliment to give, Jason, but but he is so consistent. Same pace as Evo, but you know, he's got the same attributes, doesn't he?
He does. As far as the consistency, the maturity, I think the only thing he's lacking on Evo is just a little bit of that raw pace. But I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people are lacking in comparison to Evo in this world, not in the league, on the planet I'm referring to. As we saw, OMG, it's Joe pick up a 3-second time penalty as well there. So now Simon, Joe, Surprise all have 3-second time penalties. The only man that doesn't so far is CRG Evo. So we've seen a slight mistake from the Ferrari driver, but that did not result in a 3-second time penalty. So we're gonna have to try and keep all of these time penalties in the back of our mind. Try to remember how many penalties everybody has. Valache Alonso is sitting on 6 seconds. Whereas, again, Simon, Joe, and Surprise sitting on 3 seconds worth of penalties. P1R Brown, though, sitting on 0, and I wonder if that could be crucial to him picking up a podium at the very last race of this season. But, oh, we've got Evo on Joe. Joe's defending the inside line on the first DRS zone, and it looks like Evo's going to be later onto the brakes. He's going to leave him room, though. I love you, Evo, for leaving room there. He could have easily just kind of closed the door on Joe. As Surprise picks up another penalty. That's 6 seconds now for the Mercedes driver. And here comes Joe with the DRS. Evo defending the inside line into turn 11, and I don't think Joe's going to be able to go around the outside. No, he is not. Oh, and that's actually Surprise getting involved. I was on the onboard with Joe. I had no idea Surprise was trying to get involved in that, but he did indeed. He was not able to make the move on OMG It's Joe. So Evo moves up to an effective 2nd position in this race. Simon is still the leading car on track, but again, 6 seconds worth of penalties for him.
I have to say, Justin, that was absolutely magnificent from Evo. What a move, right round the outside, braked so much later than his rivals, and breezes past up into 5th position on the road. It really was textbook stuff from Evo. Stuff of a champion, and he moves up into 5th place. And, you know, just to compound the misery for his rivals, he's not even got a warning to his name yet. So that just shows you the kind of mood that Evo's in. And you know, it just shows that even, and I don't imagine many people will be practicing at the end of the season when it's all done and dusted, but it shows even with little practice, Evo is still dialed in. He's not going to make mistakes. And, you know, that's probably explains why we've had so many penalties earlier in this Grand Prix. But Evo, even if he's not practicing, which I don't think he has been, and he's still doesn't make mistakes, and it's just superb to watch. It was a great move, passing Joe around the outside. Joe then tried it later on in the lap and couldn't make it stick, but now Surprise fancies his chances against OMG It's Joe. We've just seen him run across the grass a moment ago in a battle with him. He's going to try and do what Evo did around the outside. Joe's wise to it this time, covers the inside, but that will compromise his exit off the corner. Now Surprise will get a second bite of the cherry. DRS open once again. Joe also has the DRS to his advantage because of the car in front. Surprise tries down the outside, brakes extremely late, and he can't quite do it. Joe covers it off. Great racing there, and yep, Joe gets suckered by Evo in the previous lap. He wasn't going to be suckered again, was he, Justin?
Nope, he was not. I am loving this version of OMG It's Joe, because yeah, he clearly just does not care at this point. I wouldn't. That's not dangerous defense or anything like that, but excuse me, as I'm losing my voice already, it seems that OMG It's Joe really not putting up with anything, as MVP Zero's poor final weekend of the season comes to an early end, and Surprise picks up a 3rd penalty. So clearly Valache Surprise also does not give a bleep at this point. He's just looking to have a good time out there. Jason97F1 does become the final driver to come into the pits, get rid of that set of Ultra Softs. Again, we didn't have a single driver start this race on a set of Super Softs. We did see some drivers on the PS4 side, maybe the PC side. I didn't see the PC side, but on the PS4 side, we did have some people start on the Super Softs. Didn't seem like the best strategy. I know for a fact that OMG It's Joe was watching the PS4 race, because I saw him in chat, actually. So I just wonder if some of the other drivers were watching that race as well and saw how poor the Super Softs were, because at the start of the race, fat with fuel with no rubber down on the circuit, it seemed that they were just degrading very quickly. So clearly that wasn't going to work out for them, as Surprise tries to be the last of the late breakers around the outside. Valache Alonso picks up his 3rd time penalty. That's now 9 seconds worth of time penalties. He's now even on Valache Surprise as far as time penalties are concerned. OMG, it's Joe defending that inside line. So, I mean, that was like Hodor levels of defense. He was not letting Surprise get the inside line. Oh, but through the chicane! Through the chicane, Surprise tries it into turn 14. That is not an overtaking location whatsoever. But Surprise said, screw it, I'm trying it anyway. Didn't work out for him, but really it didn't put them too far off the back foot of CRG Evo. I almost said CRG It's Evo, thinking of OMG It's Joe. But, you know, one thing that's worth pointing out here, CRG Simon is absolutely flying. He is on the oldest tires out of everybody, having completed 5 laps and pitting at the end of lap 8. So he is on the oldest tires out of everybody. The only other person with tires his age is LCR Leopard, who has actually moved himself up into a points-paying position despite that terrible start to this race. But yeah, Simon's got the oldest tires, but he also has a nearly 4-second gap at this point. And, I mean, if Joe Evo and Surprise starts grabbing, Surprise just sends it up the inside into the turn 7 hairpin and makes the move on OMG It's Joe. Really did not see that coming. DRS is going to open for the Force India, but also for the Mercedes. Surprise, is he going to defend the inside line? Yes, he does. Looked like he might fake to the right-hand side, but then defended the inside line. OMG It's Joe around the outside. Surprise is going to have to give him room, a bit of a bump between them. I think that's fair, though, from OMG It's Joe. I think that was his inside line to take. And he does move back up into 3rd position. DRS now for Surprise, but crucially here, these two have dropped out of the DRS range of Evo. Around the outside now goes Surprise again and gets it done. I've never seen so many overtakes between 2 drivers. This is incredible stuff. And again, they're really not involved in the lead of the race because of the time penalties, but these guys are giving us a hell of a show.
Really are, Justin. There's fireworks at the end of this Grand Prix. There's fireworks at the end of most night races. We're getting them early on this occasion. This is absolutely incredible stuff. Surprise, trying it up the inside of the hairpin. I don't even know why he bothered, because he knew fine well that Joe was going to get the DRS and breeze back past him, and he did. But Surprise, of course, fighting back again and making his way back ahead. 14 laps gone, half race distance. And as I said, well, 12 drivers, you can still have a great race, and that's exactly what we are having. You got to give credit for Simon early on. You know, he realised he was at the head of the train. If he pitted early, he could maybe have got an advantage and broke away from that group, and he's done exactly that. And it's now Evo that has the work to do to get underneath 3 seconds to ensure he can pick up the victory. But you got to fancy Evo, fresher tyres, slightly more pace. They'll get within range of Simon, but it's not going to be easy because Simon is no slouch, as Joe and Surprise, I think, are about to re-enter battle going down towards the chicane. Are they going to do it on this occasion? I don't think so, but maybe Joe, with the second bite of the cherry, will have a good opportunity.
Yep, I think he just needs a good exit here out of turn 9, which he has done. Surprise with a good exit as well, too, though. DRS open now for the Force India on the rundown towards turn 11. Is he going to be close enough? I don't think so. Still a couple of car lengths between the pair of them as they get into the braking zone now, and Surprise does manage to stay ahead. Again, Surprise with an unbelievable amount of podiums. Or not podiums, he's got those too, but he's got an unbelievable amount of penalties. Very different from podiums. 2 P words, very different meanings. So Surprise really isn't battling Joe for position here, but you know, it's all down to, it's all about pride at this point, as Simon now picks up another penalty. That is unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. I mean, he's just pedaling around on his own, more than 3-second gap down to Evo, so I'm surprised he's picking up penalties, as he's really not coming under any sort of attack. Also, I want to apologize to Pinecone, Restev, Morso, and Jason, who have been running in formation now for quite some time. There is a hell of a battle going on for P8, but we're so focused on the top kind of 5 or 6 drivers that we really have not been able to pay attention. There's now that gap between Surprise and Evo, and a bigger gap starting to form between Joe and Surprise as well, too. So I'm going to take this time to just focus on these midfield guys a little bit further back. Because, yeah, just looking at the gap up at the front, I don't think Joe's going to be mounting an attack on this particular lap. So let's stick with Pinecone here. Restev has picked up at least 1 time penalty already, and he's now got at least a second one as well, too. But clearly, a lot of the drivers really aren't going to be caring too much about penalties for the final race. Very much an end of term sort of feel for the final race of the season, as it is every season with Apex Online Racing. Will Restev make an attempt into turn 8? And he is not. He's going to stay behind Pinecone for the meantime. Let's go on board with the Alfa Romeo. Can he get the exit that he needs coming out of turn 9 through turn 10? DRS open now for the Alfa Romeo. He's going to be closing onto the back of that Haas at quite a rate of knots as Alonso picks up another podium around the outside for Restev as they get into the braking zone, and it looks like he's just about ahead of the Haas, still side by side, squeezes his way through. Pinecone picks up a penalty as well too, more so trying to follow through. He's done it up the inside through turn 14. Again, not an overtaking location, and now the two Haas cars are right at the very back of the field. Again, probably my favorite team of the season is Haas, and they are right down in 10th and 11th. I'm so sorry about that.
I'll have to say, Justin, if this was the Netflix series, I think Gunther Steiner and the Bleak Machine would be in full flow at the moment. And Pinecone 10th, Jason down to 11th. But Jason, you know, he's on the freshest tyres of the group, so I fully expect him to make some moves back up through the field. And I think Gunther Steiner might be on the radio to Pinecone on those 9-lap old tyres. Come on, move aside. I'm wanting Jason to make a move and climb up through the order. And yeah, still a fantastic fight down at the back of the field. It just goes to show you that you get battles everywhere in Apex Online Racing, and we're getting it once again here down at the tail of the field as Murso, Pinecone and Jason all battle over the minor placings. Who is going to be the poor old person at the final race of the season with no points? So it's coming away from this one, it's going to be quite a finish.
Yep, the battle for the wooden spoon, as Pinecone does have Jason rather close to the back of him, so that change of position could be happening. That could be imminent at any point now. Still keeping an eye on the gap up at the front. I can see LMG, it's Joe, less than 5/10 from Surprise, but they're into Sector 3 right now, which means I don't expect Joe to be making any sort of overtake here, so I'm going to stick with this quartet of cars battling for 8th position. And indeed, as Andy said, battling to find out who is going to be the one person in this race that does not come home with any points. So it is Restev that leads the way at the moment after Pinecone lost a couple of positions to the Alfa Romeo, and the Renault dropped himself down into 10th position. Will we see the Haas actually come into the pits on this lap and fit another set of the Ultra Softs? That's what I would do personally. If I were Gunther Steiner and his bleep machine, I would be telling him to get the bleep in and fit another set of bleeping Ultra Softs, and it looks like that is exactly what's going to happen. So Jason moves himself up into P10, and Pinecone comes in for his second and final stop of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and I'm just going to keep an eye on him in the timing tables to see what set of tires he comes out on. As I said, I'd probably fit another set of Ultra Softs, and he has indeed. That's going to be a 12-lap stint. With light fuel and with a rubbered-in circuit as well, too. So I think that's certainly doable, just about. So Pinecone's got a lot of time to try and make up, but everybody ahead of him is running on much older and harder super soft tires. Rejoining the battle up at the front, though, Surprise is right onto the back of Evo. Evo's going to hold that inside line once again. It really seems that inside line is really what you want to have as you get into the braking zone for turn 11, and unfortunately it wasn't enough for him, though. The overspeed on that Mercedes just allowing him to sail right on by Evo. Again, Surprise, though, with just an orgy of penalties is the first term that comes to mind, so I'm going with it. Again, it's the last race of the season. Just an incredible amount of penalties. So he's really not involved in this race at all, but I'm really, really glad that he's taken the fight to Evo regardless, and he's actually gotten that gap down to Simon to less than 3 seconds. It used to be almost 4 seconds from Simon down to Evo and Surprise. It is now less than 2.8 seconds, so it really seems that Simon already starting to struggle. Again, he does have the oldest tires out of everybody in the top 6, so it's no surprise that he's going to be losing pace faster than the cars behind him, but I have to say I am rather taken aback at how quickly they're catching him, and Surprise adds on another one, because why not at this point, you know? I mean, he's in fact, at this point, I'm willing to wager Surprise is going to be the one that finishes in P11.
I tell you what, I think Surprise has been awarded more penalties in this race than Lionel Messi's been awarded in his footballing career. It's incredible, the number of penalties he's amassed. This is incredible from Surprise. That's 6 now to his name in this race alone. And you know what? I think one man will be kicking himself, and that is CRG Simon for picking up that second penalty, because if he never did that, you know, 3 seconds is a prize, 3.5 to Evo. He would have had a great opportunity to go and win this race with Surprise and Joe getting into the mix here to disrupt Evo's rhythm. So there's the third one.
Nail in the coffin.
I'm going to have to start making tally marks here about how many penalties everyone's got. I think I'm going to run out of paper cuts from trying to do it, though. That's the problem.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. This is definitely the strangest race we've seen in all of Season 16. I think that much is objectively true about this race. As Restev and Morso trading positions, let's see. It looks like that just happened at the end of the DRS straight. Excuse me, with Restev moving ahead of Morso. Still very tight between these three, though, for 8th position. Very, very close between all of them as they're making their way through Sector 3, but great to see they're having a nice little scrap as well, too. Leopard is kind of in no man's land at the moment. I just missed what his previous lap time was. I would love to know if he's actually closing up. And Evo's got a penalty as well too. He was on 0 warnings 10 laps ago or whenever Andy checked on that, but it seems he has picked up his 2 warnings and now picked up a penalty as well too. So Surprise, Simon's sitting on 3 penalties if memory serves correct. Surprise is sitting on about 40. Evo is now sitting on 1. Joe has 1. Alonso has 3 or 4. And does P1R Brown have 0 still? I haven't seen P1R Brown with a penalty.
Yes, he's got 0. Indeed he does. So,
amazing.
He's on the brink of 1, though. He's got 2 warnings, but if he can keep his nose clean...
How did he win Monaco again?
Picked up no penalties.
That's right. That's right.
Do it again if the drivers in front don't keep their cool, as Alonso adds a 5th to his tally. He's now only 1 behind Surprise. I think the buzzword of this race is penalty. It really is. Can we ban that word? Can we ban it? I mean, it really is incredible. 5 for Alonso, 6 for Surprise. But P1R Brown, the way it's going at the moment, worse. Maybe for not only for a podium, but you know, if Evo was to start picking up penalties, maybe even a win. But the problem he has, he's around about 6 seconds or something behind Evo, so Evo will need another 1 or 2 penalties, I would think, before P1R Brown won. And not only that, P1R Brown is on the brink of a penalty, so you know it would be unlikely, but certainly a podium within reach here for P1R Brown. This thing stand.
Yeah, as you said, it's about 6 seconds between Evo and Brown, so if Evo does pick up a second penalty, then I'd say he is certainly within contention. And actually, Simon only has another one for Alonso. And he's gone off and gone for his spin. That happened just off camera as I was looking at P1R Brown, actually. He has managed to collect himself and is now facing the right way, dropped down into 7th position. And now only marginally ahead of his teammate, actually. And with the incredible amount of penalties that Alonso has, he is now possibly the prime candidate for finishing in 11th position. So, again, end of term, though. People aren't taking this... What's that?
Chance for Joe to get a move on Evo. Evo was actually clipped the back of Surprise in the chicane, and now it's got Joe with a chance. But now Evo's picking up DRS, and he's right there on Surprise, but it just wasn't to be. A little bit slowly through the chicane, Evo had to back out the throttle, and that's what put Joe onto him. But in the end, Evo had such great straight line speed, he nearly passed Surprise, but it wasn't to be, and Surprise holds on for now. But Evo, still no sign of any more penalties, and he's doing well in 3rd place. He doesn't really need to get involved in any incidents, Evo. If he just strokes it home, doesn't pick up a penalty, he's going to win the race because of the situation around him. So, you know, he doesn't want to get involved or embroiled in too many battles, because it's, you know, certainly getting fiery in there, isn't it? Really exciting stuff in the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Ooh, Joe running very wide out of that final corner. That's going to lose him a bit of time to Surprise and Evo up ahead. Missing his apex completely and running very, very wide through turn 1 as well, too. This is going to lose him lots of time to the 2 cars ahead of him. Is he going to fall out of DRS range? Oh, it looked like he picked up a bit of dirty air, a bit of understeer through turn 3, possibly. He is late enough onto the brakes, though, as Alonso's into the pits, so he's going to try maybe a late race dash on a set of Hypersofts and see if he can maybe make up some time after losing out and dropping pretty far back, and with all those penalties as well, too. DRS, though, for OMG It's Joe, so thankfully he didn't lose too much time in Sector 1 that he fell out of the DRS range. Surprise, actually feeling the need to go defensive into Turn 8, but CRG Evo not able to go alongside in the end, and just takes the racing line. OMG It's Joe not quite getting the exit that he needs to keep up with those two. I think it's going to be Evo, actually, that's going to be mounting the attack on Valache. Surprise as they get into the braking zone for turn 11. He's going to go around the outside, but Surprise a bit later on the brakes, but he's going to try the switchback. Unfortunately, it's kind of a double chicane scenario there, so the switchback not really paying dividends there for Evo. Surprise maintains that position with his 37 penalties that he has, and Evo is right onto the back of him, almost pushing the Mercedes through the high-speed right-handers of 15 and 16, but very, very close as Jason and Restev switching positions. OMG, it's Joe picks up another 3-second time penalty. I believe that's number 2 for Joe, am I right?
It's number 3. Number 3 for Joe.
My goodness.
Yeah, they're mounting up, but you know, this battle between Surprise, Evo and Joe is allowing Brown to close, and it means now Evo picks up another time penalty. P1R Brown will be the net leader of this race. Just let that sink in. That is absolutely incredible. And he's 5th on the road, so that's because of the number of penalties in front of him. 1 Evo penalty, and it will be a win for P1R Brown potentially. But at the moment, Evo has not picked up a further warning, I don't believe, since that penalty. So he steadied the ship just.
Yeah, and Evo is on to win this race as it stands right now. Again, though, if he picks up one more penalty... Oh, as Surprise is going very slowly. Does he have a puncture? No. No, he does not. He's gone ahead and retired from the session. I hope he doesn't get in the way of P1R Brown. Gosh, that looked very close, actually, into the braking zone for turn 8. His AI-controlled car getting a little bit in the way of P1R Brown. Kind of was just sitting on the... this isn't going to bring out the safety car or anything, is it? No, I don't think so. As Valache Surprise... Season 16 comes to an end. That is going to do it for our second place driver in the championship, which means now, though, it is a pretty straight fight between, well, not when you take into account penalties, but it is a pretty straight fight now between just Evo and Joe. So we're gonna keep our eyes on that one, and of course we're gonna be keenly watching P1R Brown.
Yeah, well, imagine that did bring out the safety car, Justin. That would have pretty much nailed on the P1R Brown victory. I mean, that would have been a really incredible situation had that happened, but it wasn't to be. And perhaps Surprise retiring before he got disqualified might have been the case, maybe to try and salvage a bit of pride, because it wasn't his greatest race. He has had many good races this season, but this was not one of them. And at the moment, Evo looks like he is going to be the man to take the victory. Where are the other battles out on track at the moment? Looks like Jason against Restev, against Murso, that Pinecone, or that group certainly still battling away, Justin, aren't they? Quite a battle there.
Yeah, that was the battle for 8th position. It has since become the battle for 6th position. I know Restev has at least 2 penalties. Morso, I believe, has at least 1 penalty. Pinecone has at least 1 penalty. I haven't seen Jason picking up any penalties.
1 warning. He's got 1 warning, Jason. Incredible.
Wow. So, yeah, him and P1R Brown currently the cleanest drivers out there at the Yas Marina circuit tonight. And it is well and truly nighttime at this stage of the race, as darkness has descended upon Abu Dhabi. And we are really ticking down to the end of the race, actually. It really has flown by. I'm not going to lie. It felt like just a minute ago that you were saying we were passing halfway distance. And here we are in lap 23, just over 5 laps remaining in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And this is the main battle at the moment, other than... Oh, and Alonso has retired now as well, too. So everybody's guaranteed 2 points or more in this race. Some pretty heavy hitters being taken out. Actually, both of the Valache drivers being taken out. I did mention earlier that maybe they've been doing too much squad sprint, and that may have been more accurate than I realized at the time.
I was thinking that myself, Justin. They've had too much squad sprint antics, and it's taken its toll on them. So yeah, not been a good day for them. Evo strolling it. You know, a few tears beginning to be shed now, Justin. We're reaching the closing stages of another season in AOR. What are we going to do with ourselves until it starts up again? What are we going to do on a Sunday night? It's a few sad faces. Thank goodness we've got a party in the hotel after the Grand Prix, the big Marina hotel. I wish. I wish.
I'll be spending my Sundays spending more time with my girlfriend. I'm not sure if she's happy about that or not, but that's probably what'll be happening. I think she rather enjoys her time alone on Sundays, but of course we will be back for season 17. Excuse me. Apex Online Racing rolls on. The train never stops at all. Well, it does stop briefly, but then it gets going again for the following season. If I want to be really pedantic about it, but yeah, it's been a really fantastic season. Great to see a new champion crowned. Great to see new race winners, new faces, new names emerge. It's unfortunate that we've had attendance issues that maybe we haven't seen in other splits, but again, fantastic racing. Really strange races we've seen across the season as well, too. This one certainly takes the cake when it comes to really strange races. That was Restev going incredibly deep into turn 11. I think that's going to put Morso right onto the back of him. It does indeed. But yeah, I've been here anyway. You missed one race. Was it one race or two races that you missed out on? I want to say it was only the one.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
I think it was just one. I've actually I've been here for every race. But I've only seen 20 of them. And that's because of Hungary, but I was physically present for every single race, which I believe I'm the only commentator that managed to pull that off this season, which probably tells you more than anything else that I just don't have a lot else going on in my life.
Oh, come on, Justin. That's not true. That's not true. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. You're just dedicated to the cause.
There you go, dedicated. I like that.
What one did I miss? I'm trying to think back. What one I missed? I'll come back to you on that one.
I think it was early on. I think it was just one race, and it was really early on. I think it was Diablo that filled in for you. I want to say it was like Bahrain, something like that.
It might even have been the opener. I can't even.
Well, yeah, it might have been actually. I think you might be right about that.
Oh well, I think I missed the opener and the season before that as well. So. So when the season starts, folks, you won't see me at the opener. I don't like it. So there you go.
You just don't like Australia is really what that comes down to. We're having a look at Pinecone versus Restev. It's not been a great race for Pinecone, but actually it's been a pretty decent recovery drive for him. As Morso picks up at least his second penalty now is what he's looking at. Evo and Joe have really spread out. And P1R Brown has also been dropping off. So the lack of a challenge from OMG It's Joe has meant that Evo can just kind of close that gap. He's actually closed the gap down to Simon as well. It's just over 2 seconds between the Red Bull and the Ferrari. And it's now almost 2 seconds between the Ferrari and the Force India. P1R Brown now sitting on... about 5.4 seconds is the gap between P1R Brown and Evo, as Morso again going very wide off the circuit. Is that going to allow Pinecone to get through? Yes, as Restev now picks up a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pits and pitting at the end of lap 25. That's a strange strategy from the Alfa Romeo driver. I'm not going to lie about that one. Maybe he's going for fastest lap. Again, we don't have points for fastest lap. I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, and say my driver of the day here is actually P1R Brown.
Yep, absolutely, Justin. Can't disagree with that. No penalties. Jason as well for no penalties. I mean, it has been a race where we've discussed penalties throughout. So, those two, for keeping their slate clean, deserve a big mention. Evo as well, who, again, just shows that even when he's not at the ultimate pace, it just seems to always get it right, doesn't he? But I just noticed something, Justin. Evo is one warning away from another penalty.
Is he really?
So, imagine he gets it. He would hand it on a plate to P1R Brown. Goodness me, that's going to be one to watch.
I mean, I do kind of hope that happens, if only so that we can change his name to Abu Dhabi race winner P1R Brown. Although Monaco is still kind of the jewel, so maybe he would still prefer to be called the Monaco race winner, P1R Brown. But yeah, it's... Oh, no. Oh, okay. It is still just over 5 seconds between Evo and Brown. So, again, as it stands, as we're starting the penultimate lap of this race, if Evo does indeed get one more warning, he will pick up a second penalty, and that will hand the victory of this race to P1R Brown. There was a short period of time there where Simon was more than 9 seconds ahead of P1R Brown. That time has since gone, so Simon is no longer within a chance of winning this race. Evo, however, is within a chance of making the overtake on circuit. He's closed in at an absolutely enormous rate of knots to the back of this Red Bull. He's not going to pick up the DRS on this occasion, but if Simon's tires have well and truly seen their best, if they're just falling apart now, then that means Evo's going to really close in Sector 3, where it's all about mechanical grip, of course. And there's another time penalty for Simon. Evo needs one more in order for Brown to win. But still, regardless of whether or not, even if Evo doesn't pick up another penalty, P1R Brown is going to finish in second position. That's a hell of a result for the Williams driver. Oh, did we lose you? Oh.
Yeah, sorry, Justin. Yeah, I'm sorry. What'd you say there?
Yeah, I was going to say, even if P1R Brown finishes in second, that's still a fantastic result for him. Another podium would be great.
A fantastic result, no doubt about it. I mean, we're supposed to be neutral in the commentary box, but we're making it no secret. If he was to pick up another penalty, it would be absolutely fabulous. Really
yeah, I would love it.
Yeah, we'd love it. We would. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But yeah, still a great result for P1R Brown. Driver of the day. Definitely, in my opinion. But Evo now within 7 tenths of Simon, and we know it doesn't really matter because of penalties, but on the final lap, or the final race of the season, are we going to see some fireworks between those two? And that would be a fitting end to the season, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure would. OMG, it's Joe, also worth mentioning, on course. Wait a minute. Does Leopard have any penalties?
He's got one.
He's got at least one. Okay. So Joe is going to finish ahead of Leopard as it stands right now. Simon's tires are absolutely destroyed. You could see him struggling through that 8-9 chicane. Evo went past him like he was standing still, and he was basically standing still there.
He's got a puncture, Justin. He has got a puncture. The left rear is gone on this final lap for Simon. So that is that done and dusted. He's got
Does Joe have a puncture too?
So Brown just passed him on the road, but Simon has got. Yeah, there you go. He's packed up. He's gone round, went for a spin, and on the final lap of the race, Simon's tires have had enough for the second race in a row. A last lap puncture for Simon, and that hands Joe, I believe. He does have a puncture. Joe does have a puncture as well. He does, Justin, you're right.
And Leopard's DNF'd. What is going on the final lap of this race? This is absolutely insane. Joe manages to cling on with that flat tire, keeps his car on the road, something that clearly Leopard and Simon were not able to do.
Is Jason going to get a podium here, Justin?
He might.
He might. Here comes Jason for the line. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Jason picks up a second podium of the season after the one at Silverstone in the most unlikely circumstances. Well, he was 11th earlier on, but we're talking about him picking up a wooden spoon. Gunther Steiner put the bleep machine away. Third place, podium for Haas. Well,
and actually,
that's a result.
Pinecone was 5th as well, by the way, so that's a 25-point haul for Haas after they were 10th and 11th at one point in the race. I'm struggling to find the words to try and describe the race that we just had, because it really was truly incredible. Wow, that was really something. Evo, though, is going to finish his championship season in the best possible way. He picks up the win, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, Andy, but he was 3.046 ahead of P1R Brown. So even if he did pick up that second penalty, he would have been half a tenth ahead of the Williams still. In the end, though, Jason97 F1 on the podium once again. I don't think that's actually his first podium appearance of the season. Nope, he was on the podium back in at Silverstone for his home race. Picks up his second podium of the season. The last time P1R Brown was on the podium was when he was on the top step in Monaco, so that's a fantastic result for the two Brits right at the end of the season. OMG It's Joe, though, is going to secure third position in the championship with that fourth place finish. His nearest rivals, Leopard down in 9th position, Simon down in 8th position. A shocking race. Just having a look at the penalties. We're not gonna get to see. Oh yeah, it was 21 seconds worth of penalties for Surprise, but Restev, not to be outdone, 26 seconds worth of penalties. I mean, I'm not even mad. I'm actually impressed. 26 seconds worth of penalties. That is genuinely impressive. That is not an easy feat. So congratulations.
He would have been as well starting the race in Bahrain, Justin, and not picking up any penalty. That's incredible. 26 seconds worth of penalties for Restev. He managed to outdo Surprise, although I think Surprise, if he carried on to the finish, probably would have picked up even more than that. I don't know how you can get 26 seconds and not get disqualified, but yeah, awesome race. And I don't think anybody could have predicted that podium after the start of the race. No way. P1R Brown and Jason joining the race winner Evo on the podium. And I believe we have him with us now, Justin. We have him in the interviewers room.
We do indeed. Thank you for joining us once again for the final time in Season 16. Evo, were you aware at all that if you had gotten one more penalty there, you may have handed the win to P1R Brown? Because that's what we were watching for the entire race.
I just wanted to say, first of all, my mindset going into this race was I was just gonna do some battling and just enjoy the last race of the season. But once I figured out that everyone has like 10 seconds of penalties and stuff, I was pretty in shock for a lap and had to cool down. And yeah, then Surprise retired and I was again in shock. And then, yeah, I saw the gap to Simon go down and down. And obviously he had a lot of penalties as well, and I had one as well, the pretty stupid penalty as well, and outside of turn 4, I think. Yeah, and from there on in, it was just going to the end with the tires. The tires were pretty much done. It was a risky strategy with the Hypersoft at the start, but I thought that was the fast strategy and not hit any traffic at the start.
Yeah, with the way you guys took those Hypersofts so far into the race, because Andy and I were talking before the race, we were thinking maybe lap 4 is when people are going to be coming in for Hypersofts. We thought we might see some 2-stoppers, but then people were going 8, 9, 10 laps on the Hypersoft. So when everybody came in at that stage to fit the Supersofts, the furthest thing from my mind is that we're going to be dealing with punctures at the end of the race. But they came, I mean, there was at least 3 punctures, I think. Joe, Simon, and Leopard. In fact, all 3 of the contenders for 3rd place in the championship picking up punctures. Yeah, that was really, really strange. But yeah, at the end of the race, the one of the things that we were really watching was again that gap between yourself and P1R Brown, because we noticed that Brown was less than 6 seconds adrift from you. So if you had picked up one more penalty there, you would have actually handed P1R Brown his 2nd victory of the season. So that was one of the things that we were really talking about. So. We were certainly keeping a close eye on that. Hopefully we're going to get OMG It's Joe to come in here and join us for the final chat of the season as well too. Obviously we have a pretty long break at this point. We don't know exactly how long it's going to be. We don't know when the start of season 17 is, but I presume we'll be seeing the return of Evo in season 17 on the Xbox platform.
Yes.
Okay, good. I think that's what everybody wants to see. So happy to hear about that. OMG It's Joe is with us as well, too. Congratulations, sir. I believe you've secured 3rd in the championship standings.
Yeah, I do believe so, even though it wasn't well, the race was horrific from my part. Towards the end, like, I was planning to go much longer on the Hypersoft, but I had to come in due to Simon triggering pit stops. And yeah, I realised with about 4 laps to go, which I probably was not going to make it to the end, so I was on like 67% brake bias or something ridiculous like that. Just like 2 seconds a lap off the pace. And yeah, I still got a puncture, but Doesn't really matter in the end. Third in the championship, not bad. Get a good car pick for next season, which is really all that matters.
Oh, good point. What is your choice of car for next season then? Actually, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, I'll say it's either the Mercedes, Ferrari, or McLaren. Not going to say which one, but one of them.
Gotcha. Okay, so one of the big boys, but not Red Bull.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, not Red Bull.
Gotcha. And I'll ask this to both of you. I'll start with Evo. How much are you planning to be practicing during the off season? Are you going to be pushing hard, or are you going to be taking a little bit of a break and waiting for the announcement of season 17?
There's the esports tournament going for the teams, but apart from that, I think I'm gonna take a little break. But once the season is announced, and I think 3 weeks earlier, 3 weeks before the start of the season, it's gonna be a lot of sweat.
And Joe, similar situation for you. Are you looking forward to maybe just a little bit of time off and not thinking about racing?
Yeah, I'm quite happy there's a break now. I don't have to sweat the game anymore. But ending the season on quite a positive note, knowing that my pace is finally now here, so I can fight with Evo, surprise Simon. So yeah, I'm just gonna take the break and enjoy it really.
Well, you guys have definitely earned it. Again, first and third in the championship, and good races today. By the way, kudos, Joe, just on keeping actually getting your car to the finish, because Leopard and Simon were not so lucky with their punctures. And yeah, just kudos to you for making it to the end. Andy, any final questions for our drivers or closing comments for the end of the season?
Yeah, I've got the tissues out. That's it. This season is over. A few tears being shed. Well, there's been plenty of sweat shed by the drivers, so they'll be glad to get some time off. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next season. Who is going to be the man to challenge Evo in the championship next season? I would have to say it would be surprised if it was anyone of the drivers out there that is going to take it to them. Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to get started once again with the Australian Grand Prix. But of course, as you say, we don't have a start date yet. But when we do, I'll be counting down the days, Justin, because I'm sure it will be another fantastic season of Apex Online Racing.
Yep, really looking forward to season 17. It's something we've been talking about for a number of weeks now, especially since our championship wrapped up a little bit earlier than everyone else's. But we're very much looking forward to that happening later in 2019. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Keep an eye on the Apex Online Racing Twitter account. And of course, we will be mentioning when signups are starting, when the season is starting, all of that kind of good stuff. And really looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, not just for today's race, but indeed for every race over the course of Season 16 on the Xbox platform. It's been my absolute pleasure to commentate alongside Andy and to commentate on the fantastic drivers that we have in this league. And again, I just can't say enough how much I'm looking forward to the next season. So thanks to you guys, the viewers, for tuning in, because, of course, in the end, that is what it's all about, and putting on a good show for you guys. And today was definitely a good show. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. We will see you in Season 17. Thanks. Goodbye.